Cynthia, thank you so much for joining me today for this conversation. I am excited to learn more about you, your business, and money mindset, getting into that. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I am well. Now, I have to tell my listeners that are you still in Ibiza?
I am, yes, this is where I live.
Awesome. Yeah, my husband and I want to go to Spain for our
Mhm.
anniversary trip. So when I saw that you were in Ibiza, I was like, ooh, I need to talk to her about that, visiting that area and all of that. But you are, I think, 7 hours ahead of me. So it's nighttime in your world and it's afternoon in mine.
Yes, yes. In fact, I got ready today at your time earlier today. It was hilarious. I got ready already, put in the Zoom, and I was like, actually, no, I got this wrong.
Yes, but that's the beauty of being an online business and really the beauty of Zoom and all of the connections you can make with people from all over the world. That is one of the wonderful things I love about just this podcast in general is that I get to meet people from all over the world and learn about things that may be different in their country versus mine and what's the same because a lot of things are the same.
Yes, I know. With the online world, right? It's made
Yes,
the
yes.
world kind of smaller. Yes.
So, for our listeners, you want to talk a little bit about yourself, just introduce yourself and your business. Let's start there and then we'll dig in deeper.
Yes, so I am an online business mentor. So I help women build communities and connect with their community and converting them into sales. And my big why is inspiring women to become totally financially independent and live life in their own terms. So when I wake up in the morning, this is what I connect with. It's giving the power to all my clients and my future clients and all the people who follow me in my audience, in my community, to really step into their power. And when if they're doing something, they do it with their full power, with their full 100% capacity. And I really, really believe in that because that's what makes someone different from just just being in their comfort zone and
Hmm.
stepping out of their comfort zone and basically decide for themselves to make it. And by making it, I don't mean, seven figures or any of that, but you achieve what is feels good to you.
Yes, yes, I love that. I remember when we're in a similar group together, and I saw your post that you talk about money mindset, and I was like, "This is the woman I want to talk with," because I know that this is an area where a lot of women struggle, not only in their business world but in their personal worlds as well, and just understanding the levels of how money can change your life, how just because you may be in a situation right now doesn't mean that you can't move out of that or proceed into the dream life that you have for yourself. So I was so excited, seriously so excited to have this conversation with you. So would you tell us a little bit about just your personal story and how you started, like how you ended up starting this business for yourself, what your trajectory was coming into the business world?
Yes, so I've had businesses for the last 20 years. So I'm from Malta, but I lived in London for 20 years. And I worked in corporate, but I wasn't fulfilled in corporate. It was actually quite really hard work to be there, to be enclosed, and not being free to live life in my own terms, basically. So I was always having businesses. So in the
Mhm.
weekends, and then I take break, I go traveling, and then I start up a business. So I was always wanting to have a business. And then I got really into the yoga world. So I've been practicing yoga for a long time as well. And I remember I went to retreats, like an intensive retreat in the US,
Mhm.
and I planned to open up a yoga studio in London. So I went to London, opened this yoga studio, and then I have had my first baby in the first week, in the same week as we opened. It
Oh
was
gosh.
crazy. It was totally crazy. And so that was my big project. However, we unfortunately we had to close that, and we lost a lot of money. So now I talk freely about it as well. And I learned so much from this project. And then we came to Ibiza with my second, when we had our second daughter. We came to Ibiza, and I started doing yoga retreats. So even if yoga retreats, the delivery of is in person, but the clients all came from online. So I learned so much how to get clients on the online world, how to build an online business. And I've learned so much from my mistakes as well. Like, so why it was such a struggle at some point to really, you know, have magnetic content to connect with people, and not just to promote. And then, like a year ago, I decided to whilst I was working with a coach, I decided to start up and help other women entrepreneurs build their business. And then I realized actually that even though I have a wellness and a yoga background, but I always approached my projects from a business point of view. So whether it's my yoga retreats, my yoga studio, and my other businesses before, and this is what I absolutely love now, because it's really helping women to not only be financially independent, and not just kind of money as the end goal, but also doing a lot of inner work with that, because I really believe for us to be successful in business, we have to grow as well internally as well. Yes. So they go hand in hand.
Yes, most definitely. So do you still do the yoga retreats, or have you kind of stopped doing that and gone more fully into your coaching?
I still have that business. I am just waiting for the borders or for things to go a bit better.
Right.
So go. Hopefully
Bless it.
End of this year or end of the summer.
Nice. So, okay, so let's talk about your transition from the yoga studio experience, right? So you mentioned that you had a lot of lessons learned. Do you mind sharing some of the things that you learned from that experience?
Yes. Oh my God, so much. So the most, what I always talk about is that we knew that this project is going to be super, super hard. And I didn't listen to my gut at the time. So because we refurbished this whole building, which wasn't ours, it was rented, of course. And that's how we lost a lot of money. But because we went so far without even signing any contract, but because we went so far in our negotiations with the developers and the management company who was renting it, and we thought that we owe them something. So even though we felt that this is going to be a really big step for us, and especially like with the timing as well of having my first son, but we still went for it because we thought we owe them something. So I always say to listen so deeply to our gut. This is like the most thing. Because from day one, the project was hard. Everything was hard. Everything was a struggle. So even though I loved it, it was my baby. It was my space as well. We created a beautiful, beautiful space. But everywhere I turned, every corner was it was really hard.
It was almost like you were forcing it. Did you feel that way?
Yes, of course. It's because this is the problem with bricks and mortar businesses, because you invest so much money up front. It's really hard to let go. It's super, super hard to let go. So yes, that's the most thing I've learned about that you really have to listen deeply. And if something is not filling you with joy, if it's filling you with so much worry, then you should really rethink it. It's so nice to go into a business where, this is why I love online businesses, in fact, because you can start something, but you don't have that massive investment in the beginning.
Yes.
And when you don't have investors, or when you are doing it on your own, it's just so much easier.
Yeah, one of the things that I know I talk with my clients about is really focusing on, and most of my clients are not having brick and mortar stores. Like some of them do, but majority of them do not, right? So most of my customers are online businesses, or they have smaller product bases, so they're doing things in their homes, or and so, I talked to them about the importance of bootstrapping, the importance of, paying for things as you go, allowing your business to pay for itself so that you don't have those situations of angst of, I've got this huge bill coming due on my loan, or, on, the remodeling situation, where I can feel that. I understand where you had this commitment, right? And this baby that you were birthing, literally and figuratively, of your business, and wanting that to succeed, and really just keep digging in, even though your gut was telling you, pump the brakes, we need to slow down, So yeah, totally understand
Exactly.
that.
It was still a very hard decision. Yes, it was a hard decision to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't let it go immediately, of course. But of course, then because I was surrounded with all these spiritual people and yoga people, I remember there was someone telling me, one of the yoga teachers was telling me, it's good to let go whatever doesn't serve us anymore.
Yes.
And that really stayed with me.
Yes.
That
Yes.
was so,
It's
so
a
powerful.
powerful way of thinking, right? Because a lot of times we think, oh, we're getting rid of something, or, gosh, what I've wasted this time, or I've wasted this money on this. But when you think about, is this serving me now? Like there was a reason why I went through this journey, right? There was a purpose of it in my life for me to go through that. But is it serving me now? Can I let it go and feel okay with letting it go, because it's no longer serving my needs or what it is I'm supposed to be doing? And obviously, that
Mm-hmm.
lesson led you down the path where you're on now, because you now are still doing yoga, but you're doing it in a completely different way. We want to talk a little bit more about your retreats and how was that birthed, and what does that look like for you?
Yes, so as always, I'm always looking to start new projects and start new businesses. So even though I had a 1-year-old daughter, my friend just moved also to Ibiza, and I was like, okay, what shall we do? What shall we do? And I was like, let's just start trying to do retreats. And we filmed the first one because Ibiza has to it. The island has the party side, but it also has the holistic side, which is growing and growing every year.
Mm-hmm.
So we started we did a retreat on our first year, and we filled it, and we absolutely loved it. And that's how it started, basically, because I'm always looking at different projects of how to use my creative energy. And
Mm-hmm.
from there, we kept on growing it.
Was
And
it
then, of
more
course, last year with COVID.
So was it more so we're going to dig into this just a little bit. So did you have like a hotel, and you booked out the hotel, and then you just set up kind of the schedule for the day? Can you talk through kind of what it looks like to build out a retreat?
Yes. So we rented a house. So the retreats are quite high end,
Mm-hmm.
and we rented a like stunning house with like a beautiful pool, which was set up for retreats. So you had a outside yoga deck, really absolutely beautiful. So the guests can just hang out inside this house.
Mm-hmm.
It's small, very small capacity, so 12 capacity maximum, but massive grounds. And basically we organize everything ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of the schedule. But one of our main things in the retreats was about change, because I'm really passionate about that. And in fact, this is how I help my clients today, also going through change, going out of their comfort zone. So we always do activities outside of our yoga mat. So we go
Mm-hmm.
outside and we do stand-up paddle boarding, and we do other activities outside as well. Ibiza has like a hippie side to it as well. So there's the drummers, and we go dancing with the drummers and have drumming workshops. So we really keep it varied and like really fun as well.
That sounds amazing. That sounds amazing. So I know because we've been talking a lot about the business side from the yoga studio. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk a little bit more about the coaching side and the money mindset piece of your coaching. How did you get into that piece, and what does that look like for you?
Yes, so I have a program currently called the Get Clients with Confidence program. And the program is basically what I've learned along the way, and I put it all together. So it takes you from literally the start of doing your goals and monetary goals, and also financial management. I have a background in finance and then accountancy. So I'm very good. If someone comes to work with me, I'm very good in really showing them what they should work on so that they make the most money from their time. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's super, super simple, but you just need to work it out with someone to make it really, really simplified. And it's actually quite interesting where I just say something and like this whole world opens them
It
up.
just
It's like,
the light
yes, it's like,
bulb. Yeah.
exactly. I'm like, why are you spending all this time, for example, coaching someone where you cannot increase your prices? Why don't you do this instead and get more for your time, right? Especially if
Right.
I'm coaching moms as well. So we start with that, and then I have and then we go into the inner growth, which I absolutely love. And this is, I think, what differentiates my program and my teachings and everything that I do from other programs as well, because we go into our superpowers, into our values, into what really, really matters for us and what our character is. And basically, I base everything from that. Of course, we talk money mindset. I have a teaching on money mindset, but I also talk money mindset a lot on my social media. And I've been talking a lot about it recently. And what I am finding is the thing that is firing people up. It's super, super interesting. So either people absolutely love it, or I get a lot of backlash about it. It's like, you cannot claim that you help people if you are charging them money and all of this stuff going on. And I just absolutely love it. I'm totally in my element when I'm talking money mindset.
That's amazing. So, okay, so I'm going to give you a scenario and you tell me what you're like, what you think about it. So, typically I work with new business owners. A lot of times they are going from hobby to business, right? So, they don't have a lot of money. To work with. They're working their full-time or part-time job, and they're taking their extras and putting them into the business, right? And so what would you recommend for someone in that particular scenario in starting their business? What are probably, let's say, the top 3 things that they need to do or make sure are set up in their business from a financial standpoint?
Yes, so I always say it's better to invest in yourself than, for example, on building a website and on branding. That's the number one. And I think still most people do that. They start with an idea and they invest a lot of money, or investing time. They do the website themselves, but
Mm.
still, in doing it, in doing a website, because that's what I did when I built my first website. I did all of this, spend a lot of money, and also I spent a lot of money on SEO. But I always tell them we are in the beginning. In the beginning, this is for new business owners. We
Mhm.
are not in the business of SEO. Social media is giving us free marketing. So all you need to start making money is a Facebook account, is an Instagram account, is email even, right? Is a LinkedIn profile. So all you need is a free platform. So do not spend money on that. That is number one. It's better to invest money in yourself. And because it is really true, if you find a coach or a program or a mentor that allows a payment plan, which I really suggest always to have payment plans, which
Mhm.
makes it easier for people to subscribe into your program. If you have a payment plan, it will make it just that so much easier for you to keep up with the payments. And also, it's a way of when you invest in yourself, you are opening up to receiving also. It's an energy flow as well. I know it sounds a bit like woo and up here, but it does really work. And so I always say, how can you expect people to invest in you or even in your product if you
You don't.
don't spend? And it's really true. Like I know even in the beginning, I was like, that can't be true. They're saying that so that I invest in their programs. But for example, I just invested in a high-level mastermind like a month ago. Literally within a few days, I had clients come over to me. I didn't do anything about it. And I was like, this stuff is real. It does really work like that.
But I mean, when you think about it, and that's what you said. Several of the things that you said are the same things that I tell my clients. I'm like, listen, first of all, you can't expect somebody to invest in you if you're not willing to invest in yourself. And it's very obvious when you are not investing in yourself as a business owner. And so I'm like, you're asking this person over here, even if you're a low, your cost of entry is really low, you're still asking somebody to give you money for something. But have you invested that same amount of money in yourself? And that makes a big difference when you start to really say, okay, let me take a moment out and get a coach or take this course, and really nurture yourself and your thinking, because our thinking is what sets us back majority of the time. And just really sit in that. Now, the one caution, and I don't know if, and you can speak to whether you have seen this as well, is that I tend to have people who either don't invest in themselves at all, or people who over invest in tons of courses and tons of training, but don't put anything into action. Have you seen that?
Yes, totally. I am seeing that actually more and more. And now I am very clear. I want to work with action-taking women because it's fine, I can get the payment every month, so it's good for me. But it's just not good for my soul to have
Right.
someone in the program not being there. So I don't like this energy as well, even though sometimes like life happens, right? Sometimes they invest in a program and they just cannot do it or just cannot participate at this time, which is
Right.
totally fine as well. But I am seeing them. So what I do with them is when people over invest and they still come and join my program, I really get them on board. I'm like, this is the last coaching program like this that you're going to invest in. You can invest in something else, like something more specific or something like specific that they need. But I just totally, I'm quite a straight talking mentor. So I'm like, this is the last one you're going to do.
Right.
And because I don't want you, I say this, I don't want you to go out of this program and you're going to say, oh, I've invested in hair and hair and hair and it didn't work. Because that's probably not the case. It's probably there's something inner, right? So
Right.
something more deep. They
Yeah.
either don't want to take action or they don't want to get out of their comfort zone. So I really totally get them straight.
Oh yeah.
With that.
And it's so controversial. Listen, I just recently went through a whole cleansing of my email list, because that for the exact reason you said. I'm like, listen, I want people connected with me who are action takers. I would rather have 50 people who are action takers and are really doing the work than to have 400 people that are just standing back and not even just communicating, right? Or not, because a lot of the action I know that I have is not even financial based, right? It's, hey, email me and let me know XYZ, or do this and share it with me. And so I'm like, if you're not taking the free action, to me, you're not ready to take that action. And so you're not the person that I am trying to reach right now. And I know some people may think that that's harsh, but that's time investing that I'm making into these individuals that I could be investing into the people who are taking action. Yeah.
That's totally true, actually. Really, really true.
Okay, so tell me some more money mindset. Let's talk money mindset. What are some other things that you would like to share with the audience?
Yes, so money mindset. Actually, today I talked about higher tickets because someone asked. Sometimes I have a Facebook group and I ask, what do you want me to talk about? And someone said, how do I get a high ticket client? And I was like, actually, you're right. I have not talked about this. And I always say, like, no business coach can tell you the price you need to charge. It's something that is internal for you. So it is both ways, right? A business coach or a mentor can help you in increasing your prices and can suggest prices and can actually even work with your mindset and your money blocks in increasing those prices. But then you need to be in alignment with them. So you have to distinguish, is it that you are not increasing the prices? Is it a money block that you have, or really you are not ready for that?
Right.
So for example, like when I worked with a coach last year, and he suggested that I charge triple the price that I was charging. And I didn't feel confident yet to do that, to charge that price. Yes, of course, I would have made more money, but I wasn't ready. So probably I wouldn't even have sold any of them. So I didn't do it. But recently, when I was talking to my coach, she's like suggested, you should increase your pricing by so and so. And I was like, oh no. And I was like, after 5 minutes, I was ready. So I've done the inner work for like literally 5 minutes because I was ready for it.
But you technically had done it for roughly a year prior to this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and I have a lot of people actually coming to me telling me they've worked in programs, they work with other coaches, and they told them, you need to charge, for example, $3,000, the first time, like a new life coach, still just getting certified life coach, just you charge $3,000. And some people might be ready for that, but some people are not. And I'm like, you have to feel what is right for you. And then if I see that you have money blocks in charging too low, then we'll work with that. So I really think that it's really an alignment piece, and also is the inner work. And the inner work can be done in 5 minutes, or it can be done, it might take you months, right? It depends on the journey, it depends what's going on in your life as well.
I mean, but that is so, it is so true. We try to do so many cookie cutter, I see some coaches that are cookie cutter coaches where they're telling everybody the same amount of information and expecting everybody to go through the same journey. And we're so different as individuals and as business owners that you cannot do that. And, whereas person A over here may be ready to hit the ground running, but they may have done some work, like you said, for a year, and you're seeing that we look the same on the outside, but realistically looking at the journey, our journeys are completely different. And so you can't compare yourself to other individuals, and you're right. Being ready to make those shifts is important. It's all in the mindset. It is all in the mindset. And what is your feeling on really aligning with your target, right? Because, I'm working with bootstrappers, so I'm not going to have a $4,000, group package because my audience, or at least that target market of my business, is not going to be able to afford that. How do you feel about that? Do you agree? Or
in everything that we do, and in all stages of our business, so whether you're starting and whether you're a year in, we always have to refine our ideal client. We always have to refine our niche. Even if you are 7 figures, they have people testing this data and seeing what their ideal clients are saying. So this is a continual process. It's not just once and then you leave it. It's a continual process to really keep on seeing who your ideal client is, because as your business grow, you grow as well. So really always defining the niche. And also the economy changes, right? So as we saw last year, of course, in the pandemic, the economy changed. So our needs are different. So last year, we wanted more basic needs. We were looking more to satisfy our basic needs rather than all this luxury stuff.
Exactly.
So we also need to continually change our wording, our messaging, and our positioning as well.
Yeah, because I mean, most businesses have more than one ideal customer or avatar, or they have segments of, right? So I work with entrepreneurs, but one piece of my business is really focused on the side hustler. Another part is really dealing with more with that beginner person. They may be a side hustler, but they're more in that beginning stage. And so you have the different segments that you are reaching out to, and the language and the way that you reach out to them is completely different. So if I'm going to have a $4,000 package, that's going to be to my bigger clients, or those who have been with me for a while, and their business has grown, right? And so they're no longer that bootstrapper. They're now moved into, my business is sustaining itself and I'm ready to hire on employees and I'm ready to do the next level. Yeah, they would be appropriate for this higher ticket item, whereas my newbies would be more for the smaller ticket item. And so I think understanding those distinctions is important in your business. You don't have to just stay in that one niche, like you said, but have the separate entities that address the right audience within your grouping.
Exactly. And the longer then you have your business, then the longer you can do that. So you might start in the beginning by really focusing on one niche, and then you start, as your audience grows as well, as your visibility grows, then you can start opening up as well.
Yeah. So what is one of the major differences that you see from work, since you worked in corporate, the differences that you see from a corporate environment to an online business? What are some of the differences that you have really noticed?
It's totally different, like totally different. So, and interestingly, when I get like when I'm talking about money mindset on my personal Facebook, and I get people kind of saying things, like not totally agreeing with what I'm saying. What I'm finding is they are not in business. They are in corporate, in a 9-to-5 environment. And so they are used to, receiving the salary and not being independent thinkers as well. So being like used to doing the things that they are told to do. So the difference is like a total change in terms of, knowing that the money is coming. We know that nothing is forever, of course, but there is still some more sense of security, right? And the fact that you clock in the hours and you leave, and you have no personal passion, personal involvement in it. Whereas when it's your business, you're totally involved, right? And also is like, even if you are selling something which is $25, the amount of satisfaction you get from that, rather than having a paycheck, like a much, much, much higher paycheck, of course, every month, is just so much.
It's like when that email comes through that a payment has been made, you're like, yes.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter what the price is of it. When you're in a corporate environment, there is not that, unless you're working in a sales environment, in a commission environment, of course. But I'm talking more like in a corporate where you get like a regular paycheck. So that is one of the things that I really, really see. And also is being brave. So like being brave is one of my superpowers, and taking action and taking risks. And I was always like that since I was young, and that's why I'm doing this business. But what I found is when I was in corporate, it's very hard for them, for most of the people, I'm generalizing here, right, to be brave, to take risks, because they want to be in the quote comfort zone. It's hard when you are in the comfort zone for such a long time. It's quite hard actually to go out of your comfort zone. So I find that it's more of a comfortable, let's stay in here, even I know that it's okay. I know that it's okay. And that is something that I couldn't live with. I just couldn't live with that.
That is wonderful. Okay, so I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna switch, and I'm going to pose a question to you. So you mentioned, you had the yoga studio, you went to the yoga retreats, and you got all your clients from the online world. So when you started posting, like talk to me about, or talk me through how you began to approach people. Did you do that just with certain posts, and did they say a specific thing, or did you do it in groups? Like, talk me through some of your sales techniques in relation to selling online or getting customers, or even now as your coaching business, what is your process?
Yes. So there's always a mindset shift that needs to happen first. That's number one. And I take my clients through this in terms of, I'm using my Facebook or my Instagram, say, as like posting pictures of myself, of my children, perhaps, of what I'm doing in the weekend, like from a personal Facebook group into, okay, now I am doing this and I'm going to tell the world that I'm doing this. So changing the Facebook cover photo, making it really clear of what to do. So first, there is that mindset shift.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what is everyone, what are my family and friends going to think about me?
Yes.
And it happens to me. It happened to me. So I was talking about yoga retreats for 4 years, 4 even 5 years, like really talking about them deeply, and not always promoting, but just talking. Most of my posts were for that, and with the beautiful photos and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I started business mentoring, I was like, okay, now am I ready for this, to tell the world that I'm going and starting this new project? And it took me a while. It took me like a few weeks to decide that I'm going to go all out for it. So there's always a mindset shift that needs to happen. And you don't have to do it. I always say you don't have to tell all your family, in terms of, you don't have to use your personal social media to do that. You can just use your business accounts as well. And the way I do it is, so when I had yoga retreats, and that's when I've learned a lot, I used to mainly promote, I mean. And no one used to care. Okay, maybe they used to say beautiful photo, beautiful house, and all of this. So what I've learned is, I was not building a community. I was posting just to sell. I was like promoting and hoping that some of my friends or my family are either going to share it, or someone is going to see it, and all of this. So now I've learned, and actually I've learned this in the lockdown as well, that building a community is so important. What I teach is connection over promotion. I talk about it all the time, because we think that we have to like promote and talk about our services, but no one actually cares what we sell.
They do not.
Yes. So this is how now I quote unquote sell, is by connecting, by building my audience. So I have a Facebook group which is growing every day. And then if I see someone that I can really help, I either approach them, or it happens that they approach me. So this is how I am doing it. And this is how I am teaching also my clients to do as well.
Yeah, that's one of the things that when you mentioned the mindset of sharing things on your personal profile, and really beginning to, first of all, you have to be ready for that. I went through the exact same thing where I was like, oh gosh, what are they going to think? What are they going to say? I'm going to start sharing this. But the reality is most of the people that I was already connected with knew my passion for organization and process. So they already knew that part of me, and my job was, I'm a project manager. So but in nature, that's what I do. So it wasn't that far of a shift, right? It was just that fear in the inside of, what are they going to say? What are they going to think about what I'm putting out there? So definitely getting past that mindset block of worrying about what the people in your community, your support, who should be supporting you, right? Your friends and family, what they're going to say, and instead kind of shift to, they're my friends and family, they should be supporting me. And if they're not, oh, well, I'm going to still live my dream and do the things that I'm wanting to do. Right. So I had that same blockage that I had to get past. And I'm like you, I use social media specifically for the purpose of connecting with people, ultimately to help them in getting organized and, developing processes. So that's pretty much what I use social media for. I have a couple of, people I connect with just as a personal connection, but majority of it is work related. On mine as well. So that's interesting.
Yes.
So with your Facebook group, when you did you start that immediately, or was that was that something you did after your business was already established?
No, I started it immediately, actually.
Okay.
And it's because with my yoga retreat, I didn't for a long time. For some reason, I hesitated. And I really don't know why. I think it's because, again, it comes to mindset. It's because I had a block of like, how can I be the leader and no one is going to like me? So that was the process. I'm like, how can I be a leader of a group? And I also worked with a coach for my yoga retreat, and she suggested I don't open a Facebook group. For some reason, to this day, I don't understand why, because she had a Facebook group of 5,000 people at the time. So I really don't know why she said that. And then I started doing yoga classes during lockdown, and I opened a Facebook group for that. And I realized the power of the community. Like it was like a total shift for me. I'm like, oh my God, this is what I should have done like a long time ago. And instead of just promoting my retreats, I should have built a community, talk about the whole wellness and
like
all of
it
that comes
in the
around.
package.
And then here's a yoga retreat, who wants to join? So when I started business coaching, I did it from day one, even before actually day one. And then and this is how I teach my clients as well. Not necessarily to a Facebook group, by the way. It doesn't have to be through a Facebook group. There's other ways how you
whatever your community is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It could be Instagram, it could be anywhere.
So as far as getting people to your Facebook group, what is your process for leading them to that sign up process? Is it like a direct, hey, come sign up, or are you going to other groups, pulling people over, or is it just in passing that you're suggesting it?
So I do all sorts. So what I do is I go and connect in other groups as well, and either I ask directly or in passing as well. Sometimes when I'm helping, when I'm giving value in the groups, like breadcrumbing, they just join, because I made it very easy for other women to join my group, because it's very clear on my personal profile. So if anyone is going to check me out, they can click the link and ask to join. So it's super, super easy. Also, what I've learned in the beginning, I used to let everyone inside the group because I was so excited that I'm starting this group. But what I've learned is that I only let my ideal clients in, or as much as I can, right? So I specialize in service-led businesses. And even though there are some product businesses in there, it's totally fine. But I ask questions, I connect first, and then I invite them. So even if my group is growing at a slower rate that it would have been if I accepted everyone, but I so much prefer that. It's much more in alignment with me. It's much more engaged. And the conversion rate is higher as well.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense, because you don't want ultimately, it really comes back to your target, right? Because why let everybody in if they're not truly part of your target market? They're wasting their time, and technically yours, in a sense, right? Of trying to connect with them if they're not the right person. So since you started specifically with your business coaching from the very beginning, how did it bother you that there weren't a lot of people in there from the beginning? Or, and how did you relay that out to the people who were starting to join? And I don't know if you had the experience of there's 10 or 20 people in your group. How did you communicate that, or did you?
Yes, totally. And basically by being totally authentic, by being totally real. So that's how I always did it. I'm very real in my life. And I always say, this is a new group. And I always used to say, in fact, this is a new group, and my intention is to grow it daily. And I used to still go live, even when I had 5 people. I still went live and introduced myself, and I still went live and did training as well.
Yeah, I love that, because I will go live. I had one person ask, she said, well, nobody was on your live. Does that bother you? I'm like, actually, no, because I know that because of my client, and this is where I think understanding your target market, again, is so vitally important, is, I went live, and I knew that more than likely, because of the time that I was going live, there probably would be 1 to 2 people who would join during that 30-minute block, but that's because my people are at work. So they don't have time to join in the middle of the day, but they're going to come in after and post their questions and engage with me. And so it doesn't bother me that nobody was there. It's the point that I am providing content to you, and there's a back and forth situation. I adjust in the evenings as, trying to post so that they can join live from time to time, but that's just the nature of my audience, and just understanding that, I think, is important.
Yes, totally. Yes, I know it's really hard. Like, for example, with my audience, it's really, really hard because I have clients. So I'm based in Spain. I have clients in the US, Central Time. I don't have Pacific yet, but I have Central Time, Eastern Time. And then I have from Europe. And then I also have from Dubai. So it's really hilarious when we're having the trainings. Someone from the US like good morning, and then from Dubai the PJ. So it's really hilarious. So it's really hard for me to know when to go live. And I just do a time, fix a time, and especially when I do my challenges as well, when I want a lot of people to join, I just fix a time, and then either I post. This is only when I do a challenge. Either I do a watch party, or I just let everyone know that obviously they can watch replay, and I perhaps put the link later on at another time for them to kind of, so that it appears in their notification.
I have not done a watch party. I don't really understand how watch parties really work. Is it just a recorded video that you're just broadcasting at a specific time?
So it's a live that you've done, and then you kind of show it again. So it's the same live.
Okay.
It's the live, but it does it again. It's does a new post, but you don't have to film it again.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to scenario. Tell me if I'm understanding this right. So let's say I do a live at 8 a.m. and I want to do a kind of a replay of the live at noon. I could do a watch party at noon and just schedule it to show it'll just show the live again at noon.
Yes, exactly.
And I can just be in the comments chatting. Is that kind of?
Yes, exactly. So people are seeing it coming, quote unquote, live, like the video is playing, but you are not doing it. You are not doing it live.
Ooh, Cynthia, I'm gonna have to check that out a little. I'm gonna have to check that out, because I mean that's one of those things where you're like, I want to be engaged, but at the same time I'm teaching the content. So maybe testing that out a little bit I'm gonna have to put that on my list. Yes. Nice.
It's a way how we can repurpose the content as well. It's a really good way how we can repurpose the content without us working more. So you can do something. You can do a watch party from something you've done 6 months ago.
And does it have to be using a live, or can you use pre-recorded video from another, like where you've uploaded it?
I'm not sure, to be honest. Okay. I think watch party is a live one, but I'm not sure about that.
Okay, I'll do some research on it. But that, I mean, just hearing that regarding lives is very valuable, because like I said, I'll do it at lunch because I have this window of time and I'm like, ooh, this is good content. Let me go ahead and get it out here. And I wouldn't necessarily have publicized it. That's typically how I have been, done things, because it's kind of like top of mind. I want to get it out there. But being able to then reschedule it as a watch party would be fabulous, just to get it back top of mind. Nice.
Yeah, I do both. I do both kind of scheduled trainings, but I also just pop lives. I do like 10-minute lives or 5 minutes sometimes.
Yeah.
And I just say something which is related maybe to the weekly theme, or I just chat. I just say how my day is going. And it's a really good way how your audience can connect with you and seeing the real you without always teaching.
Yeah.
It's in social, basically.
And I was about to say, that's really good for just general connection, right? There are times I will just pop on and say, I really just wanted to come in and see how you guys were doing, see who was on. And, do you want to jump on and chat with me? Like just to get them to understand that, first of all, I am a person and I am approachable, right? Because sometimes, specifically with larger groups, they feel like, oh, they're kind of unapproachable. I would love to sit down with them, but I'm going to have to pay X number of dollars, to just get to talk to them for 5 minutes. When I'm like, no, just if you're part of this group, just ask the question you want to ask and I'll, do my best to answer. But that's my personal thing. I don't know if everybody's kind of like that or not, but it works for me, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If it works for you, I always say this to my client. If it works for you, then it's fantastic, right?
That's right. Exactly. So do you have a Facebook page as well, right?
Yes.
As well as your group. So do you ever go live on your Facebook page, or do you do it all in your group?
So mostly I do it in my group. I want to do also on my page, but I haven't done. Sometimes I do, especially when I do interviews. They work really, really well on my page, but sometimes it's just too much to cope with. Personal profile, group, and business page.
Yeah.
My intention is to do more, but you know what? It doesn't matter. And this is also what I teach. Like, it's better to focus on either one platform or just one side of the platform until we get help, and then we can also do more.
Yeah, that I've been in this battle with myself, right? Because I do have a Facebook group. And I have my page, and I have things just automatically posted to my page. But I'm in that weird place where I'm like, would I rather just do everything on my page and drive people to the ultimate place, that I'm trying to get them to? Or do I want to really focus more on building the community within a group and not putting so much on the page? And there's pros and cons, I think, of both scenarios. It's just your personal preference. But yeah, I'm kind of like you. I don't know where to put that attention, and I'd much rather focus on one thing and get that 100%, than try to splatter myself all over the place. Because who has the time for all of that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because then all we do then is just content and content and content, but the content is only one part of a
one
business.
part. Yeah, exactly.
There's so much to it.
The community to me is more important than, content is important, but I feel like having that community and that connection supersedes that content. Because if I can connect with you, who cares what I'm posting from a content perspective? I think that just overrides it.
Totally. So I just signed up a client like last week, and we literally connected in another group. We connected for a few minutes, but because I was answering my questions in DM, she was sending me messages. She wasn't even part of my group, so she didn't see any of my content, and she signed up like pretty much straight away.
Yeah.
And that was a really big revelation, is because we connected, then we hopped on a call as well, and then we connected also, of course, before. But it really showed to me that connection is important.
Is the most important thing. Well, thank you so much, Cynthia. This has been very wonderful. I really enjoyed the conversation. I'm going to jump and figure out this watch party situation. So I have my to-dos for after this session. But for those who would like to get into more contact with you or connect with you for connection, would you like to share where it's best to connect with you?
Yes, so either I have my Facebook group, which is called Hub for Driven Entrepreneurs, or also my Facebook page is Cynthia Micallef Online Mentor, or of course my website, cynthiamicallef.com.
And I will have all of that in the show notes. So if you're listening to this, you can definitely jump over there and get a direct connect to Cynthia. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was a great conversation.
Thank you for inviting me.